Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
Okay. I stand corrected. A caller called me yesterday to let me know in no uncertain terms that Hillary has accomplished something. She's avoided prosecution. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a caller with our Pledge of Allegiance. Call in right now. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell on a Wednesday, a picture postcard morning. Good morning. And, of course, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers, including Western Waste Services, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969. And now, without further ado, it's time for our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, you just hang in there, and you always do a wonderful job with the pledge, so have at it.
Well, thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to say this to you, Damon. You've done a great job for us, and just have a wonderful day, and thank you for all your continued growth and success on that program over there.
Well, thank you, sir. That means a lot.
All right, buddy. You take care. All right. Time for the weather, and the weather is brought to us as I choke on a throat lozenge. I love hay fever time. And weather's brought to you by Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Look for the blue door. My goodness, carpet and flooring, kitchen construction, home decor items. They really know whatever you need to make your house a home, they have it and they can help you with. So please go in and see them today, Cheney Flooring and Home Design. And right now, here's the weather.
We're looking at another beautiful day, and as we head towards the weekend, still going to be sunny, but much cooler. Today, sunny skies, high of 80. Tonight, we're looking at a low of 52. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, high of 76 with an overnight low of 51. Mostly sunny and 75 for Friday. Temperatures dipping down for the weekend. Looks like mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the low to mid-60s. Yesterday's high was 78. The overnight low was 42. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Thank you, Gina. Great job. And don't forget, for all your flooring, tile, wood, carpet, whatever, it's all right there at Cheney Flooring and Home Design, 1228 Oakley Avenue in Burley. Yup. Look for the blue door. There you go. Wow, what a day. And we have got some outstanding guests on the program this morning. And we're going to be at 9:06. Dave Beagle is going to be on the program with us. And then at 9:30, Dustin Siggins, that writes for The Stream back in Washington, D.C., is going to be on talking about the debate. At 10:06, James Taylor. I really want you to be listening for this. James Taylor with the Heartland Institute is going to come on and talk about what's going on with renewable energy, and boy, it's going to get spooky. And then at 10:32, a lady that I really admire. She's sharp, and she's an attorney and a former actress on television and movies. Susan Swift will be here, so we're looking forward to that. Don't forget your friends, my friends, at Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. Oh, my goodness sakes, they open the door at 7:30 in the morning, and they stay open till 5 o'clock at night. Always. And right now, I know you're lulled into a kind of a false sense of security. You're saying to yourself, well, look at this beautiful day. Well, the highs are going to be in the 70s, high 70s. Don't let that fool you. Old man chill is right around the corner, and you better have your furnace checked out. Make sure you got furnace filters. All of this available through our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric, 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Really good people. And real quick before I start taking your phone calls, I want to remind you that tomorrow is Lunch Bunch. I absolutely can't thank our Lunch Bunchers enough. They have, through thick and thin, hard times and good times, always been there. God bless all of you. And we're going to be meeting at Denny's Restaurant, and that's at 611 Overland in Burley, America's Diner. Thomas and Terry, the whole crew, wonderful people serving you with the greatest of menu items. It's delicious. You're going to love it. Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland in Burley, and 291 Pole Line in Twin Falls. And tomorrow is Lunch Bunch Day. Be there. By the way, too, we'd like to say thank you to Smith's Foods and Handsome Mortuary, Walmart, and Stokes Groceries for all their help in the door prizes that we give away during Lunch Bunch. All right, calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You just can't make this stuff up. This is how bad, how rotten, and vile our world is becoming, especially on many, many stories and instances right here in the United States. Right now, in 9 states, including our neighboring state of Utah, the Satanic Temple is starting after-school Satan clubs for elementary school students. Ladies and gentlemen, this is absolutely insane. And these satanic groups and clubs are going across the nation. They want to make sure that they go into every state. And I noticed I was reading a story about a lady, I believe she was back in Greenville, North Carolina, and she says, to me, Satan sounds like devil worshiping. I don't want my kids to be involved in that. And she said her kids go to a school with a Good News Club program after the school ends. And this is a primary Christian club that after school Satan is trying to counter. And they're starting various groups. They want to go to more than 100. Let me see. I want to make sure I get this right. That 9 states have been approached already about having after-school Satan clubs. And one is being started, I think, at the elementary school, Vista Elementary, in Taylorsville, Utah. Now, what is going on in this world? Satanic worship for elementary school kids? And here's a spokesperson for the Satanic Temple. It said, he said, she said, whatever. On Tuesday of last week, our Utah chapter had followed up regarding our classification and if we'd be categorized the same as a church club. And they said that we will disperse funds to Utah with a proof of liability insurance in the next week. And the spokesperson added that the Satanic Temple is willing to pay facility fees in any of the school districts where they have an after-school Good News Club. I don't know. I just, what are your thoughts? Satanic clubs? After-school clubs? And trying to indoctrinate our children into believing and following satanic rites and cults? I don't know about you folks, but we need to be very, very worried. And they've got a little cartoon caricature here of the devil, Satan, with a kind of a cheery little clown outfit, holding out candy canes and welcoming children to the after-school Satan. Are you not upset about this? I mean, does this not bother you? Is this not just another chink in the armor of morality, family values, and what this country stands for? I'm just sick about this kind of garbage. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, we've got being taught in our school political correctness, socialism. Now we've got this satanic garbage going on, and all this is mind control for all our young children starting off in the early stages of life. Now, as far as the satanic thing goes, what are the origins? What country is behind all this?
Well, as far as what country, I mean, right now we're looking at, it sounds like these Satan clubs, starting here in the United States with the devil worshippers across this country. And, they're basically just saying, try and stop us, because we're going to try to grow into every school area across the United States, or at least make the overture. Now, in Seattle, they're moving forward with a satanic temple club. In Tucson, Arizona, they're trying to start another satanic club in the Unified School District. I mean, Tony, this is going on all across the country.
Well, Zeb, what kind of political connections do these people have?
Well, you're asking me a question I don't know, but I'm assuming they would be liberal left at the very least, and I doubt seriously if you're going to find them as glowing, showing members of the GOP.
You know, we've got the minority communities in this country are being programmed by outside instigators, and now we're going to have something like this going on in our schools. This country is going to be in turmoil worse than what it is right now.
Well, they've got, this is so sick to me, they've got handout photos that they give the kids of Satan sitting on a throne with the satanic gestures, and they're handing those out to kids that say something like, welcome to an after-school Satan club. Tony, did you ever in your lifetime think that we'd be talking about stories like this invading our school system?
Absolutely not. I come from a totally different generation where the parents would be out there demonstrating and trying to beat the hell out of somebody. But today, the parents don't seem to care about what's going on. Just let it happen. It'll go away.
Well,
These things aren't going to go away.
I certainly hope. I'm appalled that we have stooped this low in the gutter. And thinking that even a neighboring state like Utah, down in the Taylorsville area of the Granite School District, would even consider allowing this to happen and possibly flourish. This is ridiculous.
A lot of this can be stopped from the pulpit.
Yeah, but I'll say this, and I've said it before, and I'm not saying it in all instances, so I don't get chewed out by everybody. I'm just saying that sometimes the weakness that is now purveying itself from the pulpit does not do or say anything.
You're absolutely right, Zed.
All right.
I threw that out there for a reason.
All right, my dear friend. God bless you. Thank you for your call.
Okay.
All right, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I know. There's people in the audience right now that are saying, well, they have the right to organize any club they want. They have the right to go ahead and push for Satan if they want to. Yes, they do. But conversely, I have every right to denigrate, downplay them, and do all I can to make sure they're obliterated. Don't forget our friends at Berry Equipment and Rental. I think we're going to be talking to them tomorrow on the program. And at the Burley location, they have Rod and Juan and the rest of the crew. They've got a repair shop over there that's been remodeled, and they can fix anything from small engines to big dude heavy equipment. Let me tell you, they're good. Now, along with the equipment rentals, and they have all the equipment rentals, all the equipment to get the job done right, don't forget, too, the retail equipment sales and that repair shop. job. Excellent in Burley. And other locations include South Lincoln and Jerome, Addison Avenue West in Twin Falls, and again, 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, the best Berry equipment and rental. They are good. Evidently, these satanic clubs for elementary schools, maybe it doesn't bother you folks. It scares me. What are your thoughts? Parents, grandparents, call me. I want to hear what your thoughts are. And before we leave this story in its entirety. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. Don't forget Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. I love that word rehabilitation because that's where I'm at. I am absolutely rehabbing my right leg, and it's coming back. It's getting stronger thanks to Nick Greenwell and all the physical therapists there. With that hydrotherapy pool, the exercises, oh my goodness, please call them for an appointment today, 678-1191, helping you get back to being you. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation in Burley, 678-1191. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. That is absolutely horrible. And with our freedoms, there's good and bad in everything. With our freedoms, we can't actually stop it, just like we don't want to actually stop the good freedom of speech. Also. But I think it's going to take people who are very much aware of what it is. First of all, teaching their kids what's going on. And we're getting so far away, in some respects, from moral values that we've got to turn it back.
Okay, but Linda, I do not mean to put you on the spot. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but how? I mean, that word, how, is kind of an all-encompassing statement.
The parents who have a high moral values are going to have to start by being very well educated. I don't know how to turn this country back. Like I said, prayer is one thing. God can do more than we can.
Yeah.
But He won't do it without us, too.
Well, what parent? Give me
absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Give me a characterization, in your opinion, of a parent or parents that would allow their children to go to an after-school satanic club in elementary ages.
Well, somebody that's already into it, for a start.
Yeah.
Somebody that isn't watching or caring what their kids do.
Yeah.
Or maybe doesn't, somebody that is so, what do I want to say, so out of it, somebody that's already caught in it, like I said.
Yeah.
And it is a generational thing.
Well, right now, my concern, we're seeing this cancer, and that's what it is.
Yeah,
this type of cancer grow all across our country in different ways, means, and forms. But I promise you, for as long as I'm still going to be on this radio program, we're going to fight them, call them what they are, and attack them and expose them for what they are. As far as I'm concerned, the vermin of the earth.
That's what we have to do. We have to speak the truth.
Absolutely.
I thank God that over at Little Flower Church, we have a pastor who does that.
Yep. And that's what it's going to take.
Gentle, very kind man who tells it like it is.
Amen. Linda, God bless you. Hope you're going to be at Lunch Bunch tomorrow.
Yep, I plan on it.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you so much. That lady has been blessed with one of the most beautiful voices to sing the national anthem and all the other songs. She does a wonderful job. What do you think about this? I mean, this is one more step, if you will, as far as I'm concerned, down the road to hell. Now, I'm just going to tell you the way I feel. I'm not going to flower it up and put a cherry on top. I'm just going to tell you there's another step down the road to hell. And quite frankly, I think parents, schools, everybody should be outraged, but Linda brought up a good point. I'll reiterate what I said a little earlier. The power of the pulpit. I mean, it's not only the churches. It's leadership in the home. It's the grandmas and grandpas and the parents and everybody else. Can you imagine your kid comes home, hey, Mom and Dad, they got a brand new club after school I'd like to join. What is it? Well, it's After School Satan. I need a permission sign. Okay, here, sign it. Go ahead. Something for you to do after school. Wow. And these things are not going away. They are growing. Calls welcome 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I don't know, folks. Every day, it gets worse. We got to fight them. We've got to fight them. Don't forget Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Oh, my goodness sakes, the lovely Dr. Christine Pickup of Mount Harrison Audiology. And she has the only locally owned and independent hearing healthcare practice in southern Idaho, and she is good. She understands sound. She understands hearing, and she can help you. Call for an appointment today, 312-0957. They're located right across from the Minidoka Hospital Emergency Room, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Stand by, caller. I'll be right there. Don't forget, on Mondays, we give away cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert. Almost choked to death. And don't forget, I'll tell you what, that restaurant is phenomenal. I've eaten there, and oh boy, you're never going to leave hungry. And the Great Bakery, and Monday at 8:31, we give away cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Zeb, it's me again. I just had a thought. What does this tell us about the significance of the Good News Club and about the significance of the gospel if this Satan club is being put together to counter it?
Well, the satanic people and beliefs, Linda, as you well know, anytime God is mentioned, anytime Jesus is mentioned, anytime going to church is mentioned, they rise up with their little pitchforks and their pointy heads, and they all of a sudden want to say, we've got to stop that. We've got to turn the world on its ear. We've got to have Satan take over.
Exactly. So, it is a beautiful testimony that the gospel is very important if they've got to fight it like this. And
I agree.
We'd better get on the right bandwagon, and we'd better do it quick.
Thank you.
Along with all the other people who are still there.
I agree.
And, we are blessed in this area, and I don't mean just yours, but like Utah. We do have a lot of very good, wholesome, down-to-earth people who still know where it's at.
I totally agree with you, but I will say this. And if someone's offended by this remark, then they'd better look at themselves in the mirror. My remark is that if churches and leaders and ministers of those churches scoff at this and think, oh, well, it's just a passing fad, it's going to go away, that is the worst, most simplistic, most backward thinking they could have.
Exactly. And another person that probably, like you said, another free thing to do after school. Satan is trying to get people to believe he doesn't exist, or he's not what he is.
Yeah.
So that they, if people know what he is, they're going to avoid him.
Yep.
If they stay away from him and do everything they can to defeat him, but if they don't really think he's worth anything, he's just, I don't know, agenda something, they're going to be less likely to fight against this thing.
No, I agree with you, Linda, and thank you so much for your call again. I appreciate it. God bless you. Thank you.
God bless you, too.
Thank you.
Bye.
Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb.
Yes, sir.
I think that the idea of this whole program that they have is to keep you away from your parents more and more and more, because the easier you are to indoctrinate you as a child.
All right. But now, okay, let's use the reverse thinking on that. If you had a good news club, whether it's church-oriented or whether it's just a club for kids to go and just interact with each other, aren't they, in the same instance, doing the same thing to keep them possibly away from the parents? I'm just playing the devil's advocate a little bit on this. Pardon the pun on words.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, almost every church has a youth program or a primary program or something like that that is geared to that group. And if you believe in that church, then you'll believe in their teachings. And this Satan's Club, my goodness, I mean, just to blurt it out that they want you to come and embrace Satan is just disgusting.
Well, why, Keith, answer this. You're a little bit older than I am, but not that much. When you were in school, think back and give me an honest appraisal of this. When you were in grade school, I mean, my goodness sakes, raised with family moral values and a right and a wrong and a black and a white, and then all of a sudden, let's say that back in your time in elementary school, somebody comes up to you and says, "Hey, Mr. Cottom, we'd love you to join the Satanic Club right after the school." My goodness, what would your thoughts have been?
They're terrible. But you know, this isn't really anything new. These people want to indoctrinate you.
Yes.
Like now we have what they call a Head Start program. Now when I was 4 years old, my mother passed away, and I was handed from relative to relative for a while. And when I went to first grade, I was in first grade. But my dad worked in the shipyards in California, and so he sent for me. And here I am in the first grade, and they said, "Oh, no, you didn't go to kindergarten. You got to go back. You got to stay in the first grade for 2 years because you didn't get the right training."
Oh, brother.
Now, this is in California,
Yeah.
and this is in the 40s.
Yeah.
So, you know, even back then, they're trying to warp the sense of our young people into doing what they want them to do, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, I agree. All right, my friend. Say hello to Nancy. God bless you. See you at Lunch Bunch tomorrow, my friend. Thank you.
I'll be there.
All right, buddy.
Square.
Thank you. You know, honestly, when I heard this story come on the news this morning, I looked at Deanna and I said, "What?" Yeah. They're looking at it in Portland, Oregon. They're looking at it in Utah. The Satanic Temple is vowing that they're going to put an after-school Satan club in elementary schools all across the United States. And when I said earlier we're going to hell, tell me I'm wrong. Calls welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, and they're offering rebates, qualified rebates, on Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, heat pumps, and all this information right there for you at Ramsey Heating and Electric. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. I know somebody else that'll save you a whole bunch of money, and they're the nicest people in the world to work with, and that's Minnecasia Sales. If you have not contacted Zach and the crew over there about the upgrade of your windows, last winter you had the old wind kind of seeping through the cracks and everything, and it was chilly, wasn't it? Well, upgrade your windows. Stop in and see Minnecasia Sales today with the Western windows and save on your heating bills this chilly, cold weather in the wintertime. They can help. They will. They've got wonderful people, too, and they can send over contractors to do the job for you, too. Minnecasia Sales, 1321 East Main Street in Burley, and they sponsor Dr. History on Tuesdays. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. You know, I find it appalling that a school would even let this type of a club be formed and come into it as a group, because they just don't teach the right stuff. And I know you made the comment a few minutes ago about churches teaching young people too. most of the churches I've ever gone to, in fact, I will say every one, has taught the church that the family is first and church is second.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait, whoa. Jerry.
It's the Lord we worship.
Jerry, wait a minute.
Church.
Let me, wait a minute.
Just a group of people.
Jerry, wait a minute.
The Lord.
Let me make a statement here. All and well and good about what you're saying about teaching and the step grade ladder system of who should be in charge, but you can't dispute the fact that if church leaders and pastors ignore and disavow that this problem is happening and don't address it to their congregations, they are at fault.
Well, I can't imagine a pastor that would ignore such a thing. He wouldn't be qualified in any way to be a pastor. If he did, he's there to fight Satan and to preach the Lord.
Well, you've got to admit, though, Jerry, that our churches today are more lax than ever before, and we're seeing a declining population going to church on Sundays. There's got to be some way to stimulate people to go back to the Norman Rockwell paintings of going to church with the family, and I'm going to sit here and tell you that we're in trouble right now, and no matter what you say, the numbers are showing that more people are becoming lackadaisical about really exercising their religion.
Well, our church is pretty full. I haven't really seen that. The church I went to before, was a small church, and it did thin out quite a bit. This one I'm going to now seems to just be growing all the time. But that don't mean that there aren't others that are losing people, too. That I don't know because I'm not involved in all the churches.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your viewpoint on this, as I always do. And by the way, while I got you on the air real quick, I'm going to just mention that tomorrow the Joe Engel Composite Squadron, local unit of the Civil Air Patrol, is hosting an open house at 6:30 p.m. tomorrow at the Squadron building located at the Jack Simplot Airport. Okay, Jerry?
I appreciate that. All them cadets and all the senior members that belong to that group would appreciate it also. And, one of the programs in the CAP is moral leadership.
Right.
They're taught to be moral leaders and, to respect the Lord and to respect God.
All right, Jerry, you are welcome.
One more statement here, if you don't mind.
Yes, sir.
I wish to bless you and to bless your whole audience. May the Lord take care of all of you and bring everybody 2 lunch bunch tomorrow and take them home safe.
Oh, there you go.
Have a wonderful meal.
That's nice. Thank you, Jerry. We'll see you tomorrow, and God bless you and your family. Thank you. Thank you. That was nice. Very nice. We need more people like him. Nice man. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. How would you react? And this is kind of for the segment of our audience that's a little younger, and maybe they're moms and dads that are probably, 35, 40 years old at the most maybe, and hey, here comes Johnny home. He's in 6th grade, let's say. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad. Here, sign this for me, would you please? What is it? Well, it's a note of participation. I bet my tongue shouldn't do that. A note of participation. Well, what's it for? Well, I'm just going to go with some of my friends after school to the Satanic Club. Holy cow. If that were my mom and dad back when I was growing up, both of them would have had to pick themselves up off the floor. They would have been absolutely shocked. And then, knowing my dad and mom, the result would have been that piece of paper would have been in the trash can, and I would have been sat down in a chair at the kitchen table, and we would have had a real comeuppance as to what's good, bad, and ugly. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Hey, Zeb, how are you?
Not too bad. Yourself?
I'm doing great. I think I know why all this is happening.
Okay.
I mean, if you've got a Satan club, who's going to stop this stuff? Nobody. And if you look at history and you look at today, you look at what did Jesus preach 2,000 years ago. He didn't preach what happened 2,000 years before that. He preached about what was happening that day. And today, we don't do that. And your show is a prime example of things we need to talk about in church.
I agree with you. Now, let me ask you this question, and I don't care what, I'm not going to go into any specific religion. I'm not going to adhere to any specific religion. I'm going to say whether they're Methodist, Lutheran, Catholic, Mormon, I don't care. I think all those churches have a duty to perform with their congregation to make sure this kind of vile and filth of Satan clubs for elementary schools, or any age for that matter, has to absolutely be somehow eradicated in legal fashion.
Oh, I agree, but everyone's afraid to lose their 501c3, and so they won't talk about what's happening in current times. And I've gone to basically all the churches and been members of all the churches that you've just named. And I went in and I investigated, and I wanted to find a church that spoke about the things that happen in the modern day. And none of them will, because they don't want to lose that 501c3, that tax-exempt status, and the feds will come pull your license if you do talk about what's happening today.
You know, and
that's why your show and shows like it are where, you know, I get a chance to listen to people that are like me that call in. I get a chance to listen to the things that I'm interested in, because the TV doesn't have it. The TV just is a brainwashing tool. There's nothing on there that I need.
I agree with you.
But your shows and people like you, I need that.
You brought up an excellent point about the tax-exempt status with the 501c3, and that statement of 501c3 has bred a certain fear and kind of a run and hide atmosphere with a lot of churches and a lot of church leaders. On the other hand, I think that if they had a reverse attitude on this and they absolutely went on the offensive instead of running into a hole and pulling the rock in behind them, I think it would draw more attention to the situation and be better for them to squash the negativity. Do you agree or not?
I totally agree, and I think as a movement and as a people and as a nation, we need to move in that direction, because if we don't, we're going to continually be driven by fear, and we will continually become the sheep or the sheeple that we are being indoctrinated into because of fear, rather than standing up against what we know is right and what we know is wrong, and making a statement of what is true and what is not true. And it seems like today, you saw the debate, people can lie, and you're not allowed to call them on it.
Yeah.
It's just not allowed. And the common sense isn't there for someone to come in and just haul someone off and say, this person's out of their mind.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't right. And no one's willing to make that judgment call in politics because they don't want to get arrested, you know? And no one's standing up for what's right anymore. And I'm afraid that when the time comes, it's probably going to be too late.
Well, when I look at our colleges and universities, and caller, I'm running a little bit late, so I've got to get the weather on here real quick, but I want you to respond shortly to this, please, real short. When I look at our colleges and universities, and I look at the idiocy that's going on there, and I've had many of those stories on already this week about what they're trying to do and how they're going to try to stop conservatism or free speech, and when you think about no free speech zones, unless you go over here behind that bush or go over here behind that warehouse. You know what? What happened in America that we're even accepting that garbage instead of standing up, going on the offensive and pointing those people in the chest and saying, get out of my way, I will speak anywhere, at any time, about any subject that I wish. Get out of the road, Jack. We've lost that.
Yep. Well, anything that is federally funded is going to have a political slant to it. And personally, I think it's all a bunch of hooey. I think college is extortion. And you need to get a piece of paper that says that you're capable of doing what you can do. I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I've met many, many, many bright people that never went to college. Bill Gates didn't go to college.
That's right. Yeah, I appreciate
all these guys make a lot of money. And it's like, I'm not saying money is success. I'm just saying that, college, I have 4 children, and I don't want any of them to go to college. I told them go to trade school.
There you go.
Learn how to use your hands and learn how to think for yourself, because college doesn't teach you how to think. It tells you what to think.
Excellent point, sir, and I appreciate your call as I always do. I got to get a weather forecast on in here. Thank you so much. I do thank you. Good points right there. Excellent points. And as far as what he said about college and trade schools, that is, I think, a deciding factor within the home and the family. You know what? If you've got a student, I'm going to say this real quick. If you've got a student that says, oh, man, I want to be a lawyer so bad, well, go to a good law school and really keep the dream alive. Go ahead. Pursue your endeavor to be a lawyer. That's great. But if you're going to school just basically, well, I don't know what I want to do. Johnny's going to school at this college, so I think I'll follow him. And then you do nothing but become an activist, sitting on your fanny and not doing anything but causing problems. Why waste the money? Why waste the time? Why waste an education somebody else could be getting? Trade schools are there. We need more workers in the workforce. We need more plumbers. We need more electricians. We need more mechanics. We need people that know what they're doing and help contribute to the economy. I got to stop. I'm late. Weather forecast, don't forget, brought to you this hour by the Urgent Cares. Holy cow. Riverview Urgent Care, 382 North Overland and Burley. Twin Falls Urgent Care, 2392 Addison Avenue East in Twin Falls. Jerome Urgent Care at 133 West Avenue A in Jerome. Oh, boy. Go to their website. Learn more about them because they are the best. UrgentCareOfIdaho.com. Minor emergencies, major care. They can take care of you. And on October 5th, yep, coming up in a couple of days, they're going to have a flu shot special for only $15 a flu shot at all their clinics. Don't forget that, the Urgent Cares. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're looking at another beautiful day, and as we head towards the weekend, still going to be sunny, but much cooler. Today, sunny skies, high of 80. Tonight, we're looking at a low of 52. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, high of 76 with an overnight low of 51. Mostly sunny and 75 for Friday. Temperatures dipping down for the weekend. Looks like mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the low to mid-60s. Yesterday's high was 78. The overnight low was 42. That is your weather for Zebeth Rand.
She does a great job. Thank you, Gina. Riverview Urgent Care, Twin Falls Urgent Care, and Jerome Urgent Care with Kyle James and his wonderful, wonderful people. They really can help you with minor emergencies, major care. You stop in, no appointments necessary. They can help you. Thank you very much for the weather. Holy cow. Also, let's see, what else have I got to remind you of? Denny's and our football trivia contest tomorrow at 9:12. You answer the trivia question correctly, and you will get a free Grand Slam breakfast at Denny's Restaurant, 611 Overland and Burley, and that's coming up tomorrow at 9:12. Caller, I'll be right there. I got to quickly tell everybody, Ark Animal Hospital, these are really nice people. Dr. Bill Fulcher and Liz Schrepfer and all the staff at 750 21st Street in Hayburn, they've got a great slogan. They have warm hearts for cold noses. It's a mixed animal practice, meaning big or small. They love them all and can help them too. Don't forget Ark Animal Hospital, 750 21st Street in Hayburn. Caller, thank you for your call. Go ahead.
Yes, the losing of our souls because, of what we have allowed as, parents, people, it's truly frightening. And I went to Charlotte, North Carolina over the weekend, and I went down and, I saw what was supposed to be such a big, massive protest, and I saw the Black Lives Matter people, and they were, let's face it, it was maybe 300 people at the most, and they were, how many of them are from out of town, I don't know, because Soros has contributed to the thing. There are paid agitators. But if you go to the city of Charlotte, you realize that the interaction between the whites and the blacks is congenial, as you can imagine. Now, I'm not saying that's the case in Baltimore or Detroit or wherever, Chicago. But I interacted with blacks all weekend, and they were the most delightful, caring people that you can imagine in that city.
What did they say? Wait a minute. Stop, Randy. I mean, what did they say? Did you?
There's so much I want to say.
No. Wait, whoa. Wait a minute. Let's be really poignant on our questions. What did you ask them? What did they say to you? What did they look you in the eye and tell you?
Let me tell you something. They're just yelling, and they're all yelling different things, and there is no substance to it. There is absolutely no logic. I asked I spent time talking to a black minister about this very thing, and he says it's just all he had, I can't explain it all, it takes too much time, but he says it's all a joke, that's not how it is. The Obama administration, this is what he said. His name was Terry Hunt. He told me, he says, they want to exploit racial divide. And I says, when these race-baiting hustlers come to town and make money on it, he says he has absolutely no respect for Sharpton or Jesse Jackson or any of them. He had absolutely no respect for Obama. He says he's nothing but a straight-up anarchist. And this guy grew up and was born in Charlotte, North Carolina. And he was not over the top. He was as grounded and level as you can imagine. And you see, across that city, it's the cleanest whistle. There's no graffiti. And the interaction, I was on a train, packed in, so tight after the game, and it was moist. It was warm, and everybody was a little moist. And we were jammed in there, baby, and it didn't matter what color they were. We were all standing there together, and everybody gets along. The Black Lives Matter is so overblown by the media in Charlotte that it's Obama, the administration, the media wants you to believe that this is such a big problem.
Yeah.
It is a problem, but these people are a minute percentage of what was going on in Charlotte.
I agree with you. Randy, I wish I had more time because I want to go into this further. But call me, watch your doggone watch tomorrow or Monday, and call me earlier, and we'll get more time on this. Okay?
Yeah, because I got lots of stuff I can tell you about, and I think it was very, poignant. It's something that needs to be said.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate your call. Thank you. He was there firsthand, and I appreciate that. Got to pay some bills here real quick, and I want to remind you again, Ramsey Heating and Electric is offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. Your family's just going to sit back and go, we enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459 and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. I'm going to call Randy and try to get more on that because, I've witnessed the same thing many, many times myself. You hear about this great racial divide and the hatred and everything. And I've been in every major city in this United States, and I have had many, and I'll use the terminology because that's what they want to call themselves. I'll say that the blacks that I have been intermingled with have been extremely friendly and helpful to me and my wife. And I'm not seeing, hearing, or feeling this hatred that the race baiters, just like Randy was saying a moment ago, that the race baiters are absolutely trying to push because it puts money in their pockets. The Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons, Black Lives Matter, and all these garbage units. There are many, many good people out there. Don't forget your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Big tire sale going on right now. I mean, a big tire sale going on right now. And how about this one? The Ultra Z900. Oh, that is a primo tire for your passenger cars. Yes, it is. And it has a 65 to 80,000 mile warranty. Oh, my goodness, depending on your driving habits. And it's on sale. You better get on in there and check it out, along with all the front end alignments, shocks and struts, batteries, and brake service extraordinaire. Professionally trained technicians that know what they're doing. Stop in today and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, and Daniel on Pole Line in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. Yep, they're the best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. And they are our major sponsor right here on Zeb at the Ranch. Holy cow, this hour went fast. Lunch Bunch tomorrow. We want to say thanks again to Smith's Food, Handsome Mortuary, Walmart, Stokes Groceries. They're providing our gift cards for giveaways tomorrow at Lunch Bunch at 11:30 at Denny's, America's Diner. Oh, my goodness. Right now, we're going to take a little break for about 6-7 minutes and be right back with more Zeb at the Ranch. Oh, play that piano. I love that opening on that certain hour every day on my program. Wheels really gets that thing cranked up. I appreciate it. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. I am honored to have them as our major sponsor, all 7 locations. And, of course, some of our great advertisers like Western Way Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Way Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Way Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Way Services.
Absolutely the best, and I think I'm going to need a dumpster. Man, by the time I get done cleaning this office out, well, at least trying to, and then working on my other information that I'm putting together for that book, boxes and boxes of stuff. Holy smokes, have they got a dumpster big enough? Yes, they do, at Western Waste Services. They can bring the dumpster out to you. You can fill it up, and then they'll come and get it. Locally owned and operated, great people, always at your disposal. Call them at 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Really good folks. By the way, too, don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric offering rebates on qualified Lennox home comfort systems, gas furnaces, air conditioners, and heat pumps. You call the number at Ramsey, 678-0459, and learn how Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox can save you money. Coming up in just a minute, Dave Bego, good friend of ours, but right now also... Excuse me. Woo! Water only. Handsome Mortuary, 710 6th Street in Rupert with Joel Heward and his family and staff. I keep telling you this every day, and it's so true. They can go to you to help you with all the arrangements when there's the passing of a loved one. Always with the highest ethical standards, with unquestioned integrity. Please, write this number down. Call them, get more information. Wonderful people, really wonderful people serving you. 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, located at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And again, that telephone number, 436-5636. You know, I was anticipating getting this man on the air this morning because I have so many questions for him. He's a dear friend of this program and has taken his time to come on here almost every week, and that's Dave Bego back in Indianapolis, Indiana. Good morning, David. How are you?
Well, I'm fine, Zeb. Good morning. How you doing?
Not too bad. Needless to say, I'm going to give you a little jab first and foremost this morning. Oh, gee, is there a rumor that's true that the Indianapolis Colts next year might try to field a professional team?
Hey, they won this weekend.
I know, but I had to give you a jab anyway. Maybe they're going to start to turn things around. And you know what? I honestly hope so. I think a lot of the Colts, I think a lot of that young quarterback, Andrew Luck. I just think he's got to play smarter, as is true also with the Green Bay Packers. So we're basically on the same page.
Yes, we are. Both teams need to get things straightened out, and I think a lot of it's coaching, but we'll see.
Dave, all kidding aside, I know that you are very, very astute as to what's going on in politics. You know the vice presidential candidate, Michael Pence. You're very, very smart about what to do, what not to do. Give me your impressions of the debate on Monday night.
Well, I have to be honest. I was disappointed, even though Trump came out, which quite honestly, I wasn't surprised that he thought he did well and won the debate. But Zeb, and a lot of people don't go on this, but I do when I'm in business, when I'm talking to people and negotiating with people and working with people and talking to customers. I put a lot on what the body language tells me.
Uh-huh.
And if you watch Trump's face and his body language during the debate, it was not positive. It did not really give a good feeling, I think, to the American people. You know, he kind of scowled the whole time. He was slouching a little bit at times. And I'll give Hillary credit. I mean, even though she was a little overboard, at least she stood up straight and she smiled, and she came across more professional appealing than he did.
Okay, but now we've talked about the body language, and I want to just jump in here and say something. I absolutely agree with you on one point you just made. Anytime I see a speaker lean over to speak into the microphone to the point where you get the slouch attitude, or keep adjusting the microphone in front of him, that is a negativity. What they need to do is get up on stage like they have time for and adjust not only the stature of the microphone and the elevation of the microphone, but also they need to have the mic levels checked. In Trump's case, where the mic is in adjacency to where he's going to be speaking into it is way too different, and it needs to be adjusted at a higher level and stop the slouching and the leaning on the podium.
Well, Zeb, I agree with you 100%. You know, I do speeches on my book and other things, and before I ever go up to a podium, and I'm going to be honest, most of the time I won't use a podium. I'll try and speak directly out to the people with a small mic or without a mic at all. But, in an audience that size, you have to. And when I do one that size, I'll go out and I will make sure everything's adjusted and the sound quality is where it should be before we ever start the speech.
Now, there were questions, Dave, in fairness, that somebody or something had a glitch in the sound quality and the technicalities of how the microphone was working for Trump, because there was a lot of the first part of the debate that was not heard inside the hall, and the mic kept going off and on. Now, I'm not saying there was a glitch on purpose, but all those things should have really thoroughly been checked out before a huge debate that saw over 84 million people at home watching.
Well, that's right, and that's what I say. When I go to something to give a speech, I check all that out ahead of time to make sure it's working properly. And I've found ones in the past that aren't working properly, and I have them fix it before I get out there to speak.
Absolutely. Myself, I'm included in that, because I won't ever go, like I say, cold turkey to a platform or a podium, or grab any handheld mic, whatever it might be, without checking it first. I just won't do it. Dave, let's talk.
I think this is part of Trump's problem, both in his preparation for the debate and, leading up to it, and then obviously going on stage. He likes to ad-lib a lot. I think he needs to take a step back and put thoughts together and have things together so that when he goes up there, he knows he's got all the bases covered.
I agree totally. Dave, what about the content? I mean, there were moments of greatness. There were rays of light to where I thought Trump absolutely closed the door on Hillary on economics and ISIS, etc. So what about the content? What did you see? What did you hear? What did you like? What did you not like?
Well, yeah, I think he did a good job on the things you just mentioned, but the problem is he reverted to his old way in some things. We're talking to previous Miss America, calling her Piggy, and and making comments like that. And Zeb, he just has to get away from that, because he has to get Americans to step back and look at him as a positive professional person. And when he makes comments like that, he just throws himself under the bus. And and on top of that, when Hillary came after him about the taxes situation, instead of him, patting himself on the back and saying, "Well, I was a businessman, I figured out a way that I didn't have to pay as much," and that he should have just looked at her and thrown it back at her and said, "You know something, Hillary? My attorney and that will take care of the tax situation. But you know something? You need to give us all these emails, 33,000 emails, and quit having your people plead the fifth so you don't have to provide information."
Oh, I couldn't agree more. What you just said, Dave, is something that I'm questioning as to the quality of his handlers and his teachers for the debates. All of these things that you and I are saying just right here on a radio program that's all over the United States right now, we're further ahead than he and his people are concerned. That should have been discussed long before Monday night's debate.
Well, that's right. All these things should have been. And, I don't know if it's his handlers or if he just won't give his handlers the access and the time to do it. And as you know, I've been trying to get in front of him and talk to him. And, I know Mike Pence, but I'm going to be honest with you. I like Mike Pence. He's a good guy. And he's much more professional than Trump is when he gets in front of people. But Mike Pence is also the type that he won't really stand up to a lot of pressure in that. He tends to get quiet and back away, and my guess is that's what's happening in this case.
You just brought up Mike Pence, and yesterday I made a comment regarding the VP selection. And my comment was listening to Mike Pence and really taking stock of what he said and what he didn't say. And then listening to Tim Kaine on what also he said and didn't say. And there is no comparison between these two men. The difference in knowledge, the difference in demeanor, the difference in personality, the difference in being a people person, Mike Pence will put Tim Kaine way back in the dust.
Oh yeah, Mike Pence is a great guy, and like I say, he's very personable, very cordial, and a good guy to talk to. My only concern about Mike is, like I just said, is when he's confronted with something like a Trump and that, I think he will, back away. And he tends to be a delegator and doesn't follow up. And he's done that all of his life, even when he was in the House in Washington and stuff like that. And I think in this case with Trump, he's going to have to get involved. He's going to have to stand up to Trump, and he's not delegate this to other people, hoping they'll do it.
All right, bottom line, 41 days till the election. This is kind of a two-part question. Give me as much of an answer as you want. Is it too little, too late? Are the voters more or less set in where they're going to vote on the poll day, or can things be changed?
Oh, I think we got plenty of time. That's a long time, and but I think in this next debate, and let me say one other thing about the debate. I thought Trump started out being going on the offensive, but towards the end he just kind of backed away, and he didn't stay on the offensive and put Hillary on the defense. And that's what caused Romney. If people go back and read my blog from the election in 2012, where Romney got beat in the last couple debates, he didn't stay on the offensive. He wanted to be nice, and you have to be nice. You have to be professional is what you have to be, but you have to stay on the offensive and expose these people for who they really are. And, it's one thing like I would have done to Hillary had I been up there, as she's talking about economics and other stuff. I would have said, Hillary, part of the problem you have is you've never been in business for yourself. You've never run a business. You don't understand how to balance a budget and make things work and provide jobs and expand your business and give people opportunity. And Trump needs to do things like this.
It's interesting that you should say that, because that was one of my points that I wanted to bring up to you. If Hillary wins, We are looking at now going into 4 more years, a total of 12 in a row, of a leader, supposedly, for this great country that has never really got their hands dirty, never really created jobs, never had to meet a payroll, from Obama clear through Hillary. And that's the kind of ignorance that we don't need another 4 years of.
Well, that's exactly right, and quite honestly, that's part of the problem we have in politics today in general. Too many of our politicians on both sides of the aisle have never had the experience of being in the private sector and, really truly having to work for a living and grow a business and make it work and provide jobs and opportunities for people and help move things along and increase wages and stuff like that. And we need people like that in our government.
One thing that kept cropping up in Hillary's dissertation with her answers, and I know you picked up on it if you were listening and watching the debate, is she always reverted back to, well, we've got to get more money from the rich. We've got to make a higher tax standard for the rich. They've got to pay their fair share. I'm not a rich man, never will be, but I'll tell you one thing, I have a lot of empathy and sympathy for people that are big money people that are trying to conduct businesses, open up new businesses, etc. Hillary's trying to kill them.
Well, that's right, and I think what a majority of American people don't understand is that this country was founded on the fact that people should go out and work hard and self-perseverance and provide opportunity for themselves, and I don't think a lot of different parts of society, like the African American and Hispanic and that, understand that people like Abraham Lincoln did. And if you don't mind, I'd just like to read a quote that I think destroys Hillary and really points out what America is about.
Go ahead.
And Lincoln said this. He says, "You cannot help the poor by destroying the rich. You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. You cannot bring about prosperity by discouraging thrift. You cannot lift the wage earner up by pulling the wage payer down.
That's right.
You cannot further the brotherhood of man by inciting class hatred. You cannot build character and courage by taking away people's initiative and independence. You cannot help people permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves."
And it boils down to one word. It boils down to one word, and that's responsibility. We all have a personal responsibility to draw ourselves up by our own bootstraps and try to accomplish something. And I'm going to come right out and say this, Dave. That is the major problem right now within the black community. They don't have leadership that's going to stand up at a rally and say, wait a minute, you can be whatever you want to be. You can go and achieve whatever you want to do. All the avenues are out there for you to walk down and get whatever you need legally and if you put forth a little effort, but they won't do it.
Well, there are a lot of them there's a lot of good black people that understand
Absolutely.
this. I had a gentleman in my office last week who was talking about it, and he's involved in some things to help his community and that. He's been a coach and a principal at a high school and stuff like that, and he knows that things have to change, and it has to be the perspective of the people themselves. Government can't do it for them. And there's a lot of people behind the scenes working on that, but they're afraid to stand up because they get attacked and intimidated by the people out there like Black Lives Matters and the people behind them, the SEIU and Soros and others like that. And that's the sad thing about what's going on in America.
Everything you said is absolutely 100% correct. And I grew up in a high school that had black students. And some of my best friends were, I hate to keep using the terminology black, but I will not and I refuse to use hyphenated terms like African American, etc. I just don't believe in that. We're all Americans. But today we've got the race baiters, the Jesse Jacksons, the Al Sharptons, and so many others. That's the only way they put money in their checkbooks, is to keep causing hate and strife.
Well, that's exactly right. And again, it comes back to, and people need to understand this, the people like Sharpton and that, they don't understand how to survive and work hard in our free market society. And so the alternative is, just like this administration is we fundamentally change it to a socialistic society where we can control people. And I say this over and over again, but people in America need to wake up. This is what the ultimate goal is.
The other night in the debate, I've got to have you highlight this too. She kept referring to, but never naming it by its three-letter word name, taxes. And tax in general. She never really went to that area, but you know as well as I do that when she's talking about debt-free college and all the other amenities to help people, look out, Dave Bego. You and old Zeb Bell are going to pay a lot more in taxes.
Well, that's exactly right. But again, Zeb, a lot of it comes back to control because, if you give people stuff and they don't have to work for it, then you could demand things from them, demand that they do what they want you to do. And again, I've seen this. I've seen this with the union bosses and how they, use these tactics on their membership, and even the union membership across the country is getting tired of it. And but I'll go to the Democrats keep using the unions to support them to get elected. Evan Bayh here in Indiana came out the other day and made a speech and said he's 92% behind the AFL-CIO, and they're 92% behind him. And these are the same people that are against right to work and giving people freedom of choice.
Okay, I've only got about 2 minutes left, but quickly, if you get an audience with Donald Trump, be it for 5 minutes or 30 minutes, what honestly would you look him in the eye and tell him? And not have your hat in your hands, but I mean look him in the eye and tell him.
Well, I don't put my hat in my hands. I would look him right in the eye, and I would tell him, I would say, Donald, you have to wake up and understand you have to become more professional, and you can't use these ad-lib words anymore, and you have to be all-inclusive. It's kind of like when I spoke in front of the SEIU, or my employees about the SEIU. I told them, I don't care what your background is, your race or your gender or your religious, ethnic backgrounds. And I even made the comment, to give a little humor in it, I don't care if you're black, white, yellow, or pink polka dotted. All I'm looking for is people I can help and people that will do good things. And that's what I'm looking for, and I hope you will support me. And I had people stand up and cheer.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you. I'd give anything to be a little mouse in the corner of that room and listen to that, and only hope and pray that Donald Trump, would follow your speech and what you said. But 41 days, and you honestly think there is time to sway a lot of the pendulum back towards Trump?
Yes, I do. I really do. And he's got to get on it, and he's got to get out in front of people, and he's got to get out in front of different communities, especially the swing states. And in the last two debates, he has to be on the offensive. And this is the rest I would tell him. You have to go out there and be professional and quit using these things like piggy and, crooked Hillary and stuff like that. You have to project an image that people say, I can trust this man. I know he will do the right things for America, and he won't go off on a tangent and do something that will destroy us.
Absolutely. Dave Bego, I got to run, but I want to tell you this is a really, really good conversation this morning. Thank you so much for taking time out of your daily activities. I know you're busy. A great author, blog writer, Dave Bego. God bless you, man, and the very best to you. And by the way, I know that Green Bay can't get beat this weekend. It's impossible because they've drawn the bye.
Well, Indianapolis plays over in England this weekend, so I think I'll be asleep when they're playing.
Okay, my friend. God bless. We'll see you next Wednesday. Pardon me. Thank you, Dave.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you. Dear friend, I mean that, Dave Bego, and he's in Indianapolis, Indiana. Excellent author, The Devil at My Doorstep, The Devil at Our Doorstep, and blog writer. He is very, very good, and what an entrepreneur and businessman. Very, very highly qualified. Don't forget, Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Oh, my goodness sakes. They've got all kinds of great items for you over there. All the mattresses, for a good night's sleep. And don't forget to check out that Beauty Rest Smart Motion, powered by Sleep Tracker. So if Your spouse is kind of sawing logs and you need to do something about it. Punch the button and elevate or whatever and help get yourself a better night's sleep. They'll tell you all about it at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More at 459 Overland in Burley. And they've got, of course, all the bedroom sets and the dining room sets and the entertainment stands. Oh, my goodness. Stop in today. Tell them Zeb sent you at Lee's Furniture, Floors and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Really, really nice people. Also, I want to remind you, too, about our friends over at Let's Ride. Look at this weather outside. And what are we doing inside? I mean, come on. Life is short. Enjoy. Stop over to Let's Ride today and check out all the four-wheelers. They've got closeout prices on the 2016 four-wheelers and side-by-sides. Oh, yeah. They're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. You gotta get outside. You gotta enjoy life, and they can help you. Stop over and check out all the accessory department and the service department. These are great folks. Let's Ride, Highway 24, between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really good, folks. And real quick, if you're headed over in that neck of the woods, prepare. Prepare yourself. Give them a call at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. I just called over there yesterday. And they can handle all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits. Oh, these guys are good. They're very, very good and so professional in helping you. They are accessible and devoted to helping you and your family and your business. Highway 24 in Rupert. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, 436-4424. Well, right now, I'm looking forward to this conversation. Coming on the program with us right now is a gentleman that's been here before, and hopefully will be again. He writes for The Stream, and his name is Dustin Siggins. Good morning, Dustin. How are you?
Hey, good morning. How's it going?
Not too bad. By the way, where are you, in Washington, D.C. right now, or New York? Where are you at?
I'm about 3 miles south of D.C. proper.
Oh, man. You know, what's it like living back in Washington, D.C., especially at this time when there's a huge election coming up? What's it like? Is it kind of a zany world back there? What's going on?
Well, I'll tell you, I work from home, so I'm not actually physically located around the politics per se. But, you know, back when I worked in D.C. for a few years ago, D.C. proper, if you will. And I'll tell you, it's a lot of fun because it's a fast-paced environment. Everyone wants to talk about issues. Everyone kind of knows what they're talking about. So it's a lot of fun to sit down over coffee, shoot the breeze, and argue.
Okay, now...
We both know that doesn't lead to anything productive. So there's a lot of wasted time in D.C. on our tax dollars.
Absolutely. Okay, sit down over a cup of coffee and find out what everybody's thinking, their thoughts on politics, where they're headed and who they're headed for to vote for in the polls. Give us kind of a breakdown. What are you hearing? I mean, you talk to people we're never going to hear from. You talk to the general public. You talk to other people involved in politics.
Sure. I look at the polls. Clinton still holds the lead. The one outlier poll is the LA Times, which is the big reason Trump is only 2.5 to 3 points behind in the head-to-head. But it's interesting. The political insiders, I read Politico pretty much every day, and they always have, insiders, believe that Trump lost the debate, or insiders say this is what Trump will have to face in order to win, or whatever. The insiders have been proven wrong on pretty much everything this election. Now, admittedly, Clinton does have some innate strengths. She has a lot of money. She has more money than him. She has a team that's been in place for a long time, a lot of data. But clearly, Trump has upended the political system. So it's kind of entertaining for me because I'm a never Trumper. So I have a lot of my D.C. area friends saying, good for you, because they're more establishment. But then others who are saying, no, you've got to stop Hillary Clinton. So it's kind of been a little entertaining.
Let me ask you this. I know that you said you were a never Trumper, but here's the thing that we need to decide. A no vote basically is going to be a support vote for Hillary. I'm not going to have anybody convince me otherwise. What are your thoughts about going to the poll? Can you pull the lever? Can you pull the lever for Donald Trump?
No. And I actually wrote this before before I worked at the Stream, I just started working for the Stream. I wrote a piece for hotair.com outlining my position. And essentially, Hillary Clinton is awful. But Trump is not, if you will, better enough to justify, at least to me, voting for him. And this is the real problem. If you look at their record, Trump's record was pretty liberal until about 15 months ago. And while he has surrounded himself with very good people, just looking at the life issue, he surrounded himself with Mike Pence, Kellyanne Conway, and others. He is still, I can't trust the guy. He doesn't have anything there's just words and limited action to prove that he will actually hold to his word. And therefore, I'm going to do a write-in vote.
Well, and you have every right to do so, naturally, but I will say this, that, and again, I'm not trying to antagonize you because I respect your position, but a write-in vote is going to be almost, again, a vote of support for Hillary with a no vote for Trump. I need to stop the Hillary machine. We need to stop this absolute roller coaster that has gone on with politics with Bubba, her husband, and herself, the control of agencies, and I'll even come out and say this morning, Dustin, the absolute power over the FBI. I thought it was criminal what they did, I think, to coerce the FBI into not filing charges against Hillary Clinton.
Well, I guess I should qualify what I said a moment ago in two ways. One is that, first of all, my position is my own position about Never Trump. The Stream does not take an editorial position on the election. We are a news agency. So I just want to qualify that for your listeners. But also, I don't think Trump or Hillary is the problem, per se. I don't think President Obama was the problem. He is a bad president, and both of them would be bad presidents. But they are simply the logical conclusion of decades of U.S. voters choosing people who look better or sound better or you want to have a beer with, as opposed to people who actually would put good policies in place. Additionally, it's interesting, a lot of the same people now who are bashing Trump and saying he's unacceptable, when it was Cruz versus Trump, they all preferred Trump because they knew that they could work with him. They know that he knows how to work the system, whereas Cruz wants to blow up the system. And that's another indicator that Trump really isn't the conservative he's pretending to be.
Let me ask you this, and you made the statement a minute ago, Dustin, get good people. I'm just kind of paraphrasing what you said. My question to you would be, as a writer and being involved in the political system, caller, stand by just a minute. I'll get you on the air momentarily. How do we, quote unquote, get good people involved in running for a presidential race?
Well, it's not just presidential, but looking at it, you had Scott Walker, you had Ted Cruz, even Marco Rubio, who's questionable on immigration, of course, but, a very inspiring person, very inspiring speaker, pretty conservative. You had a number of people this cycle, even Rand Paul, a more libertarian, obviously. You had several people who would have been, I think, solid presidents running for office. Mm-hmm. But Donald Trump knows how to campaign. He knows how to market to people. And so that's what he did in the primary.
Well, give me a short answer on this, and then we'll take a call. For a man that wasn't, quote-unquote, politically oriented, had never done anything, run for any office previous, how come you give him so much credence as knowing how to twist the political machine?
Well, not so much twist the political machine, more like blow it up. Additionally, Trump has talked about running for president for a couple of cycles now. If I remember correctly, 2000 and 2012, he had, talked about running for president. But he's also been involved in politics on the other side of the equation. He's not been in office, but what he has done is bribe politicians like Hillary Clinton so she would show up to his wedding, and so he could gain power. So he's definitely been involved in the political system. He defends some of that bribery by saying, well, look, I was in New York and New Jersey. It's only Democrats there. I'm not going to waste my money by talking to Republicans, which is fair. But he has been part of the political system. And he knows how to market himself. Again, 2012, he said Romney was too harsh on immigration. Now, we should be as harsh as possible on immigrants. That's just one way he's changed his position.
All right, we're going to take a quick call for you right now. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
So, Dustin, you thought that Walker would have been somebody you would have voted for?
I had not fully researched him, but from what I understood, yes, I had not fully backed him. I was going to do more research, and then he dropped out of the race.
Okay, well, this is the thing. When you get out here where the rubber meets the road, have you lived in D.C. all your life?
No, I grew up in New Hampshire, raised by a small businessman who ran a roofing company.
Okay, well, see, this is the thing. Well. You know, Trump says things that are simplistic for us poor, simple peasants out here that are out here where the rubber meets the road. And, you know, if you listen to him, you know, I got to believe he loves America and that he's not completely lying about everything. And if he truly feels about these trade deals and losing our corporations and jobs, wouldn't that appeal to people in Michigan and Ohio where there are literally at times 1,400 people lose their job and nobody gives you know what? So, and then with Hillary and the Supreme Court justices, is it better to not vote for her just for that reason alone? I'm going to hang up. Thanks.
Go ahead, Dustin, and address it.
Actually, that's a really good point. One thing that I've tried to remember, you know, I'm the ultimate keyboard warrior, right? I sit in my apartment, I work from home, and I write my stuff. I'm not out there having my job at risk because the Obama administration wants to regulate the coal industry out of business. I'm not out there losing my job. I'm here sitting in a nice apartment starting off on my opinion. I'm actually very aware of that, and I do definitely have a case of beltway-itis. I don't deny that. But I wrote a piece for The Hill talking about Trump's flip-flopping last year. I wrote it in September of 2015. And I even said, I cannot criticize the average Trump voter. Because the average Trump voter has been screwed by the system for 30 years. And the average Trump voter is saying, you know, Bush, Obama, they all talk a good talk, and then they all throw me under the bus. Trump, at least, might do something right, might do something to help me out. I can't blame the average Trump voter. Do I believe that Trump is lying? Yes. Do I think Trump is a brilliant marketer and speaker? Absolutely. So this is where, as much as I criticize the establishment and the conservatives who are backing Trump, people who opposed him before but are now backing him, I do not so much criticize his supporters because, again, they're out there getting screwed by the system, and he is at least saying, I'm going to blow up the system.
Let me ask you this part of it, Dustin, and again, it's the people that you talk to, whether you're writing an article on Trump or Hillary or some business, whatever. But do you think that Hillary's terminology a couple of weeks ago of basically categorizing all of Trump's supporters as half of them are deplorables. Half of them are deplorables. Do you think that's going to jump up at the election and make people a little bit more than furious to think that they've been denigrated and downplayed in this country, and those numbers are really going to hurt Hillary at the polls?
You know, it's certainly possible. A lot of this depends on how Trump handles the next two debates. I've read that there are 80 million people watching on Monday, and while there's some disagreement, you know, obviously most people who are the keyboard warriors, people in D.C., think that Trump lost. I tend to agree with that position. But I've also read a lot of people who think that Trump won. A lot of people who back Trump believe that he stood his positions well. We'll see how that comes out in the polling. But I tend to think that if Trump's campaign can effectively point out when she talks about foreign policy, oh, yeah, you want to talk about foreign policy, how about your Iran deals? Or when she says, you know, let's release your taxes, you know, Trump should say, I'll email them to you, which I think he did say, right?
Yeah.
I'll email them to you. That needs to be pointed out. When she talks about basically, you know, we all have bias, you know. Well, actually, you're the one who has bias. You're the one who's decided that half of my supporters are deplorable people.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the sort of messaging we need to see from Donald Trump if he wants to win.
I totally agree with that. I absolutely think that's a very astute opinion. But then the question comes up, will he listen to other people? There's so many things he needs to do to clean up his demeanor at the debates, whether it's the slouching at the microphone, whether it's the adjusting of the microphone. He should have it at a taller rate so he can speak directly into it. His addressing Hillary on various things. Listening, I would suggest to him not to have anything planned, but listen to what she says and then counteract it with a statement regarding what she just said, rather than creating long solutions which got him into trouble. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, I put this in a post. Brevity was Hillary Clinton's friend. She kept her answers short. She was well prepared. Trump ran through the moderator. And I got granted, I did a brief piece somewhere else that the moderator, Lester Holt, he asked Trump something like 6 direct questions, he asked him 4 or 5 direct questions about his taxes and birthers and everything else. The only time he asked Hillary a similar controversial question was when Trump brought up her emails, and Holt gave her a chance to respond. So certainly the moderator didn't help things. But if he had prepared for the debate, Trump could have turned anything around in a succinct, smooth manner. And I think instead he talked a lot. He brought up his own properties he owns and all the money he has and all things that, from my perspective, and again, I'm no longer, and I guess I should have said this at the beginning of the call, I no longer consider myself somebody who could represent the average person's opinion because, as your caller pointed out, I'm not out there where the rubber meets the road. So all that to say, I think Trump's rambling hurt him. I think he couldn't say enough about himself, but he wasn't able to make it happen in a way that would appeal beyond certain people. As Clinton said, I have stamina, and provided, bam, a really cool one, couple of lines about it.
Yeah.
Trump didn't have a response.
Yeah.
She hit him on the alleged racism 43 years ago. He should have said, we settled it. We didn't do anything wrong. Moving on.
Yeah.
And then he brought up super predator.
Right.
But again, he kept rambling, kind of like I'm doing now, rather than come out with a couple of one-liners that were really disciplined or on point, and that didn't make it about him. And that's what I think he did all night, was talk about himself.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you one final thought here about the next debate, which is coming up on the 9th. It's going to be in a town hall setting, and do you think that venue will be better suited for Trump or Clinton? I'll tell you my opinion up front. You can disagree with me if you wish. I think a town hall setting with questions from the audience and Trump's personality and attitude is far better suited for a town hall than Hillary's, because she needs and uses that podium as some kind of a device to hide behind sometimes. I think the town hall is going to be more fair or even better for Trump. Do you agree or disagree?
I tend to agree. I think he's better off the cuff than she is. She's very stiff, whereas he's much more go with the flow and reactive, and I think that will go over very well.
Dustin, I enjoy having you on the air. We have a good reaction back and forth with our conversation. I appreciate it, and I hope you'll come back soon. Dustin Siggins with The Stream. God bless, man. I'll be in touch. Thank you.
All right, take care.
All right, thank you very much. Good guy. Dustin Siggins, and writer for The Stream, and really following this political season with Trump and Hillary. I know something I've got to do, and that's get the weather on here real fast. Holy smokes. I'm always late in the morning because I get to going on various subjects, and the weather is brought to you by some really, really good people, conscientious people that care about you, your taxes, and quite frankly, you keeping as much money in your pocket as possible because you worked hard for it. You earned it. I'm talking about the best of CPAs, Pope, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. Curtis Pope, Todd Phillips, Rob Oaks, Mitch Goodwin, Heather Daly, Lyden Crane. They have been providing accounting service to the Minicash area for well over 50 years. They're just really good people. And all your tax return preparations, business consulting, bookkeeping services, payroll services, and Lyden Crane, fluent in Spanish and can offer any of the services in Spanish, and 2 locations to serve you. 1710 Overland in Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. I knew I was going to say that wrong. So be sure and get a hold of them today. Pope, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company, CPAs. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're looking at another beautiful day, and as we head towards the weekend, still going to be sunny, but much cooler. Today, sunny skies, high of 80. Tonight, we're looking at a low of 52. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, high of 76 with an overnight low of 51. Mostly sunny and 75 for Friday. Temperatures dipping down for the weekend. Looks like mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the low to mid-60s. Yesterday's high was 78. The overnight low was 42. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
And it's brought to you by some friends of ours. Absolutely. Pope, Phillips, Oaks, Goodwin and Company CPAs. Offices at 1710 Overland in Burley and 620 5th Street in Rupert. Really good folks. Calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'd love to hear your comments about anything we've talked about this morning and encourage you to call 436-2244. I want to remind you, I got a couple of things I need to get on real quick, and then I'd love to have your calls. So come on, get on the phone. The Senior Junction Pumpkin Function. Yeah, buddy. And we're going to have a meeting at noon today, as a matter of fact. It's going to be frightfully wonderful. October 27th, that's a Thursday. We're going to be over there at the Senior Center, the Senior Junction at 2421 Overland for our remote broadcast, the entire radio broadcast there that morning. And they're going to have, it's starting at 7 o'clock that morning, a huge, ghoulishly delicious breakfast. And that's going to start at 7 and go till 10. It's only $5. Come on, enjoy the ghoulishly fun, delicious breakfast. They're going to have crepe candy on sale, and this is a fun deal. And T-shirts for only $15, and all the proceeds. And a costume contest, I can't forget that. You got to dress up. You might win a big prize, and we've got some excellent prizes available. And don't forget, all the net proceeds go to the Meals on Wheels. I encourage that you help us, please. Senior Junction Pumpkin Function on October 27th. There you go. And tomorrow we're going to be at Denny's Restaurant for our lunch bunch starting at 11:30. Don't forget that. And our thanks again to Smith's Food, Hanson Mortuary, Walmart, and Stokes Groceries for providing our door prizes at Denny's Restaurant, 11:30 tomorrow, America's Diner. Oh, it's going to be good. Going to be good. Let's see, what else have we got? Nothing, so give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. There was another shooting, and I just want to make a small comment on this. There was another shooting in San Diego, California. And the Black Lives Matter and the liberal left are so quick to point their fingers and throw negativity at police cops and police forces around our United States. I find that deplorable. I was listening and really paying attention to this story about San Diego. A man got out of his car, got in a crouched position, put his hand in the pocket, and was glaring at police. And I mean, the cops told him many times on the tape, get your hands out of your pocket, stand up, and put your hands over your head. All of this was disavowed. The man stayed in that crouched position like he was going to, and it looked like it, I've seen the pictures, like he was going to pull a weapon and shoot at the police. And the cops kept imploring him to put his hands up. He did not. And the man was shot. How many police officers have to take a bullet from criminals that absolutely will not adhere to the commands and demands of police officers? If they would meet those commands, no one would have a loss of life. And you know, there's so much more to the story back in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I hope people that are representing or supportive of the Black Lives Matter pay attention. Keith Scott was a felon, and he had stolen a firearm. They found the gun. Keith Scott absolutely had a restraining order on him issued by Gaston County District Court judge to protect his former wife, Raquel Scott, because he had beaten her and a couple of the children. This was not a good guy. But yet, everybody comes out with Black Lives Matter and everything else and denigrate the police forces that are trying their best to keep control, keep the peace for our society, and hopefully go home at night and be able to kiss their wife and their children. I do not understand these groups that want to... There's even a push right now to take any armed officers off the street, take their arms away, and maybe at the most use rubber bullets or no bullets whatsoever. And when you really find out the nuts and bolts of a story, and you find out that this guy absolutely was not a good guy, And absolutely, there's more to the story than first came out. And you listen to the Black Lives Matter, and you listen to the Jesse Jacksons, you listen to the Al Sharptons and all the race baiters condemn and hate our police forces. But, oh, wait a minute. A couple of days later, honest information comes forward that changes the entire complexion of the story. Our police have got one hell of a tough job. It's the worst job I think anybody could have. They've got to make a decision in a micromillionth of a second as to shoot or not to shoot, to protect themselves or leave themselves a target. That's one doggone tough job. And I don't think they get the respect that they deserve. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Coming up next hour, very, very interesting segment with James Taylor with the Heartland Institute back in Chicago, Illinois. I have had those folks on many, many times in the past, and they are absolutely against this balderdash called climate change, which originally was global warming and all this. He's going to get on there and talk to us about the 500 million solar panels that Hillary wants to install. And then following that, Susan Swift at 10:30. Don't go away. Caller, quickly. I've only got 30 seconds. Fast.
Just quickly, maybe people won't agree, but how come it is always the black people that are doing this? He crouched down, and, I think he was being offensive. I don't hear too many of the white people doing that, so they bring it on themselves.
Well, any criminal, and I agree with you, any criminal, any person that is doing something that might cause bodily harm to others and or the circumstances should obey the commands, and quite frankly, regardless of the race, regardless of the color, regardless of anything, just obey the commands that are being done if you put yourself in a situation where the police have you surrounded. Caller, I got to run, but thank you for your input. I appreciate it. Thank you. Got to run to the news next from CBS. And don't forget Lunch Bunch tomorrow at 11:30 at Denny's, America's Diner. It's going to be a really fun lunch bunch. Until then, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. Wheel's going to play some music. We'll see you in 7. Oh, my. I'm looking at the finish line. It's an hour away for a beautiful day. I can't wait to get outside. Good morning, Zeb at the Ranch, and I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Big fall tire sale going on right now, too. Don't forget that. And also some thanks have to go out to our major advertisers also, and we thank Western Way Services, always at your disposal, 734-6969. And we're going to go to our guest momentarily, but stand by. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric can offer rebates. I love that word. On qualified Lennox home comfort systems, whether it's a gas furnace, air conditioner, or a heat pump, you and your family will enjoy the comfort. Call them at 678-0459. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, saving you money. I am really, really happy to have this man back on the program. He does an outstanding job, and he's with the Heartland Institute in Illinois, Chicago specifically. James Taylor, how are you this morning?
Doing well, Zeb. How are you?
Absolutely fantastic. I think it would be beneficial for my audience if you would explain a little bit right off the get-go what the Heartland Institute is, what it does, and basically what your job entails. So go ahead and give us a little summation on that, would you please?
Well, I'm glad you asked. In 2001, I joined the Heartland Institute, and for most of that time period, I oversaw Heartland's energy and environment policy. I'm a senior fellow with the Heartland Institute. But also one thing that, a new development, I started a new public policy organization this year, the Spark of Freedom Foundation. So our listeners can find that at sparkoffreedomfoundation.org. So I still work with Heartland. We're trying to bring the truth about energy and environmental issues. And Spark of Freedom Foundation, I'm looking to find workable solutions to these issues that tend to divide us.
You know, when you say that, James, I want to follow up on that Spark of Freedom Foundation. What, hopefully, are you trying to get out to the public within that foundation? I mean, what are you trying to do through that foundation?
Well, the reason why I started that is I was very frustrated that I think on the scientific issues, on the economic issues, even in the court of public opinion, I think skeptics, I think conservatives have tended to win the argument. But nevertheless, we still have EPA Clean Power Plan. We still have top-down government mandates. And what we know to be true and what we've discussed in the court of public opinion just doesn't translate into market-friendly, consumer-friendly action. So what I'm hoping to do is find solutions whereby we can take the science, take the economics that we prevail on, and see it implemented in constructive public policy.
Absolutely. Amen. Okay, that leads me right up to what was said the other night in the debate between Trump and Hillary. And she has also said the same thing on numerous times before with different newscasts and interviews. 500 million more solar panels in this country? I mean, I'm just taken aback. I don't understand the circumstances. I certainly don't understand the implementation, but I do understand the cost to the American public. I mean, James, 500 million? Give me a little background on this. This sounds absurd.
Right, and this is exactly why I started the Spark of Freedom Foundation, to call attention to some of the quote-unquote solutions that are being offered versus what is available. If we really believe that we're facing a global warming crisis, if we really believe that we want to reduce carbon dioxide emissions and other emissions, there are much more affordable ways to do so. So the Brookings Institution, this is a left-of-center public policy organization that tends to favor renewable power. They published a study noting that wind power, solar power, transforming our energy sources to wind and solar increases our energy costs, doubling or tripling those costs. Whereas if we really want to reduce emissions, we can switch to natural gas, which would be no cost increase over our current mix. We could switch to hydropower, which would do the same, or nuclear power, which would have just a minor increase. So we can actually find a common ground solution whereby if we want to reduce carbon dioxide emissions, even though we're not facing a global warming crisis, we have options on the table that the left refuses to consider, and instead they pander to the wind and solar industry.
Okay, now I'm going to make a statement. You can agree with me or feel comfortable to disagree with me, but this is my feeling. It's not about energy. It's not about trying to preserve the planet. It's nothing more than the mindset of the liberal left to take more control of the people and hold them under their thumb. Do you agree or not?
Well, I think that's certainly one of the primary components. And when people sometimes ask me, well, why is it that a science issue breaks down along political parties or ideology? And it seems to me that what happens is you have, as far as liberals go, well, when there is a proposed crisis in which the proposed solutions involve more taxation, more government control, higher energy prices, reduction in energy use, they're not really going to look under the hood very much because, well, they kind of like those proposals anyway. And if you present that to conservatives, they want to look under the hood to make sure it's justified. If we're destroying the planet, well, certainly any price is appropriate and just to address that. But you want to make sure that we are. And if we're not sure, if we have areas of disagreement, well, then maybe we can find so-called solutions that don't involve doubling and tripling our energy prices.
Let me ask you this, and I'm not even sure how to phrase it, James. The liberals, Obama, Hillary, and many before them, have come out, Al Gore, oh, well, we've got to cool the planet down. We're going to just melt. We're just burning up. Wait a minute. My question is, to what degree? Where do they want to put the temperature? How do they want to act like God? How are they going to control whether it's good, bad, or indifferent? What really is the bottom line as to what they want and what they find satisfying?
Right, that's a great question. When we look at the data, it's pretty clear that temperatures have warmed during the past century. But context is very important. Temperatures have risen and fallen in the past. Temperatures have been warmer than today for most of the past several thousand years. Temperatures only seem warm today when we compare them to the Little Ice Age, which ended a little over 100 years ago. So when we hear that the warmest temperatures of the past century are all occurring now, well, it's because that's supposed to the Little Ice Age era. But regardless, I mean, there are people, there are scientists who legitimately fear that we're going to warm too much, that the pace will increase. And if we want to at least take those concerns into consideration, again, getting back to what we talked about in the opening, there are means, there are market-friendly means, because natural gas, because hydropower are our cheapest energy sources right now. Nuclear power is not far behind. So we can give them what they want without destroying our economy. We just have to avoid pandering to the wind and solar industry.
That's all well and good, and believe me, I'm never going to pander to that industry. But, I mean, when I ask that question about how high is up or how cool is cool or how hot is hot, I'm not getting any answers from people on the liberal left because they can't give a definitive answer. Is 76 degrees optimum? Is 78, 82, 88? What? Because people are healthier in warmer climes. Cold kills and crops don't go and grow in colder temperatures. What's the matter with their thinking that they want to absolutely play God and cool down the planet?
Right, and really the issue, and let me take their side of the argument just for a moment. The strongest arguments that they have are that, first of all, temperatures will rise more rapidly than has been the case because of human emissions. And then secondly, among the factors, among the negative consequences especially, will be sea level rise. The thing is that, yes, I guess theoretically there are some models that say temperatures will warm up rapidly. I think those models are flawed. I think the scientific evidence is pretty clear that we won't. But even so, again, if we want to say, all right, regardless of what the science seems to indicate, there are the Hillary Clintons of the world. There are people within the Democratic Party, outside the Democratic Party, many people left of center who feel we have to do something. If we recognize that's a political reality, again, we have options right now on the table, natural gas, hydro, nuclear. That's where we need to. If we just take government obstacles out of the way and let them compete in the marketplace, where we don't put nuclear power through so much red tape, through so many redundant and unnecessary regulations, if we allow people to produce natural gas without fracking restrictions that are unnecessary, if we allow the electrification of dams that are already in existence in this country, these are sources that are affordable, that conservatives have always supported, and they're also emissions-free. We can throw them that bomb, but they don't want to take it. They instead want to have this knockdown, drag-out fight to support to their cronies in the wind and solar power industry that would bankrupt our country with their expensive energy.
You know, the environmental movement is kind of they're very ambiguous. They're phony. They're plastic. And I'll tell you why. When you think of all the land and the desecration of the land with 500 million more solar panels and all these wind turbines that look like cancer sticks all over the United States, how in the world is the environmental movement standing up for this idiocy when they're supposedly in favor of creating a natural phenomenon called a good environment?
Right. If we look objectively at environmental impacts, and we don't want to dismiss environmental impacts, having a clean, having a minimal imprint environment, minimal human imprint environment does have some value. We can argue over how much value, but let's just say, all right, there is some value there. Let's compare the environmental left's favorite renewable resource, wind power, versus hydropower, which they vilify. The two are similar in that they have impacts on land conservation and species. But the difference is wind power has much greater impact. It takes literally hundreds of square miles, up to 600 square miles of wind turbines to replace the power of a single conventional power plant.
Wow.
Yet, hydropower can produce more energy with much less land usage. Moreover, when wind turbines are erected, they create no-fly zones. They decimate bird populations, including many endangered species, for hundreds of square miles. However, hydro dams, yes, they change the flow, the natural flow of a river or stream, but they produce a lake that also has many environmental benefits. And again, it's on a smaller area of land. With solar power, the negative environmental impacts are not as severe as wind power, but still you do have substantial land destruction. It is very land intensive. There are negative environmental impacts. When you compare that to natural gas, which especially through recent advances in fracking and directional drilling, can produce tremendous amounts of energy from a single well pad. Again, I would argue that wind and solar power are more environmentally destructive than the conventional energy sources they are trying to replace.
That, and let's revert back to something that we touched on in the beginning of our conversation, and that's taxes and money. When I have talked to some of the powers that be that know more about taxation and know more about how the American public is paying and paying and paying, how in the world can our economy, right now, as fragile as it is with all the problems that we're incurring, how can the American taxpayer pay up to maybe 3, 4, 5 times more for electricity in their homes when they're almost broke as it is?
Right, and that's why we need to stand firm against the effort to impose expensive wind and solar power on our economy. You know, it's very interesting. Since 2000, so far this century, our carbon dioxide emissions, if you're concerned about global warming, have actually declined. We're emitting less than we did in 2000. What's the reason for that? The reason is natural gas. Natural gas, under market conditions, because it's very inexpensive, because of the fracking revolution, because of directional drilling advances, is now cost competitive and in many cases less expensive than coal power. It's increased its market share. It now is the leading source of electricity production in this country. So what we've done is we've reduced emissions because natural gas cuts carbon dioxide emissions by 50%, cuts many other emissions by 80 or 90%. We've increased natural gas production to the leading source of electricity in this country, and yet electricity prices have fallen during the past 7 years as natural gas has gained that market share. This is the way that we should be reducing emissions. This is the way that we should be improving our environment in a way that actually reduces prices at the same time. We need to continue that path.
Let me kind of be futuristic a little bit, if you will, James. Let's assume the negative, in my position anyway. I'm not going to try to implement that same thought over to you, but let's assume the negative that Hillary wins the presidency. Hold on, caller. I'll be right with you. Give me a minute. And under that assumption, she does not like anything to do with taking any of our assets out of the ground, and she's really pushing for more solar and wind. Has the American public seen their last days of freedom as far as being a free society, able to travel here and there in this great country?
Well, anytime government restricts people's rights and abilities to utilize natural resources, to utilize property, well, then we are cutting down on freedom. I will give Hillary this. As compared to Bernie Sanders, who said leave everything in the ground, Hillary has emphasized that nuclear power is important for reducing carbon dioxide emissions and other pollutants. She has said that natural gas has been an important factor in reducing emissions, just as I explained. I think she would push more expensive wind and solar on our economy, which would hurt. But it could be a heck of a lot worse if we had Bernie Sanders.
Absolutely. Caller, go ahead with your question for James Taylor. Quickly, please.
Yeah, James, the other day I seen in the paper, I saw a picture of John Kerry and the Prime Minister or President of China, whatever he is, and they're just agreeing, and they're talking about the Paris climate change agreement, and as if we're supposed to believe that we can trust China to do anything. I mean, if you do research on China's, environment, it is so smog-ridden that it is truly unbelievable. And it's easy to find if you look. Why, who is to believe that China is going to cut back on anything? They buy all of our spare, over our spare coal. I mean, who's going to believe any of this stuff? I'll hang up.
Go ahead if you would, please, James.
Yeah, thank you for the call. It's a great question. China's a very interesting case because what they've pledged to do is level out their emissions somewhere around 2030. In other words, they're going to continue increasing their emissions for at least the next 15 years, and then they're hoping to, at that point, kind of keep it where they are. China already emits significantly more carbon dioxide than we do, and yet they're increasing their emissions. But to the extent that China is making some efforts to level out their emissions and make some efforts, I mean, they are in a certain extent. What they're doing is they're relying on hydropower. They make all the solar panels, not all of them, but they are between solar panels and wind turbines, China is one of the dominant players in the world market. But they don't use it themselves. They sell it to the United States. They sell it to nations that have renewable power mandates. But where they reduce their emissions is through hydropower. They lead the world in hydropower production and consumption. In terms of percentage of their energy use, it's nearly 3 times what hydropower is in China than it is here in the United States. So what happens is they're able to the extent that they want to address emissions, they do so in a more cost-effective manner. India, at the Paris Climate Accords, I asked a question of the minister from India who was there speaking. They talked about how they were going to reduce their emissions dramatically, and they were going to, I believe it was 40%, the emissions-free power, 40% by 2030. And I asked specifically how that's going to happen, and he said nuclear power. The rest of the world is not imposing expensive, economy-busting energy sources on their economies. Even those that are saying they're going to do something about emissions, they can do so in a manner that is cost comparative with conventional energy, hydropower, nuclear power, natural gas. That's what we need to make sure that we do. And in that case, we can eliminate this global warming debate. We can take away the risk of imposing expensive, unreliable energy sources our economy, and at the same time we can address their fears. And that's the way I think we should move forward.
You know, James, I really enjoyed listening to your dissertation about what needs to be done and how to do it. Now, I agree with you 100%. But it also brings the question to mind as to what kind of educated or not educated leaders we have in this country. From the Congress, the House, the Senate, all the way up to the presidency. Why are they so hell-bent on driving us into financial ruin with ideas that are not going to pay for themselves?
Well, I think for many, it's an ideology to have more government control, and that would translate into renewable power mandates and subsidies, etc. But I think for many, it's just a lack of information. And I'm doing my part to try to address that. I mentioned sparkoffreedomfoundation.org. On there, I have linked a paper that I published in conjunction with the Nevada Policy Research Institute earlier this year. It's a Nevada Guide to Energy Policy, and it maps out much of what we've talked about here today, and it gives specific numbers. It gives specific environmental impacts. It shows that we can meet the environmentalists, even on the left, their legitimate concerns in a manner that doesn't kill our economy by turning to these conservative energy sources, hydro, natural gas, and nuclear. So hopefully through that information, I'm putting together energy guides for other states, and we're going to present them federally as well, and show that, yes, there is a path in which we can address these concerns without ruining our economy.
James, one final thought. Everything you said, I absolutely want to learn more about and understand your philosophy because I agree with it. But how about the education system in our schools? There seems to be an anti-energy program going on in all the colleges and universities of higher learning, and the millennials really don't appreciate the country that we need to have energy-based for progress. What do we do about the schools?
Well, we need to do what you're doing. We need to be out there speaking to people. We need to understand that although the schools are a powerful factor for shaping young minds, still there is the internet, there is cable television, there is talk radio. There are other avenues, and from my experience, I know that when you get information out to the grassroots will make sure that it is seen in the popular debate and public discourse. 30 years ago, before we had these tools, we wouldn't be able to bring out the facts about climate, about what's really going on. We wouldn't be able to bring out the facts about what the costs are for various energy sources. We would just be told we need wind and solar, and we'd be told it's a good thing, and that would be it. So just keep up what you're doing, and listeners, just talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors. Go to websites, go to sparkoffreedomfoundation.org, go to heartland.org, and you'll find the information that you need to make a difference.
I really appreciate and respect you, James, for coming on the program. SparkOfFreedomFoundation.org and the Heartland Institute. James Taylor, God bless you, sir, and I'll be in touch. Come back soon.
You too. Thank you, Zeb.
All right. Thank you very much. I really enjoy having him on the air. Straight shooter about energy, and boy, I'll tell you what, these $500 million with a B? I can't even fathom 1,000, let alone $500 million new solar panels. Oh, goody, that we get to pay for. And all those wind turbines and all the land that they're going to desecrate across this great country of America. It's unbelievable. When yet we have all the other assets, fossil fuels, of course, natural gas, all the other availabilities, nuclear power, hydropower. It's insane. Oh, my goodness sakes. Let's not forget La Vintage Boutique, 1240 Oakley in Burley. My goodness, they've got everything over there. And they offer unique home decor items, unique furniture items, clothing, and, of course, they've got all kinds of bath and body oils, and they've got all kinds of scrapbooking materials and supplies. You need to go in there and just browse. Open the door, say, I'm just looking around, and oh my goodness, all the wonderful things you'll find. And remember, it's not too early to be thinking about that special gift giving for the Christmas holidays, so you be sure and stop in. Open Tuesdays through Fridays, 10:30 to 5:30, Saturdays 11 to 4. La Vintage Boutique, 1240 Oakley in Burley. Really, really nice people. All right, now, coming up next half hour, we got Susan Swift. She's been here before. She's a lawyer and also a former Hollywood actress and mom of 7, and she doesn't like Hillary Clinton. And she's going to be talking about that coming up in the next 30 minutes, so you stay tuned. Right now, we're going to send it back over to our main studios. We'll be right back.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
Oh, boy, look outside. We're not going to have many days like this left. It is beautiful outside. Enjoy. Hey, don't forget, to stop over and see our friends at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland and Burley. Oh my goodness, all the mattresses, all the bedroom sets for a great night's sleep, and all the dining room sets, entertainment stands, all of this and more at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. You know, they've been on our program for many, many, many years, and we implore you to stop in and see the best. And they have the best for you. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. Stop in and see them today. I had this lady on the phone with me as a guest a couple of weeks ago, and I'm really looking forward to having her come back and kind of give us a post-debate report as to what she thought. And I'd like to introduce a lawyer, former actress, mom of 7. My goodness, the accolades go on and on and on. Susan Swift, how are you this morning?
I'm very well, Zeb. How are you doing?
Well, I'm a little bit nervous, and I got to tell you why, Susan, because, and I'll preface my remarks by saying I thought Trump was doing really well in about the first 20 minutes of the debate, and then all of a sudden he pulled both guns out of the holster and shot himself in the foot. What are your thoughts about the debate this last Monday night?
Well, I love your analogy. I think that's pretty right on. I thought he was good in the first 20 minutes, and then stuff started happening. But what I find is really interesting, and I'll sorry, I will say one thing. Hillary won the debate for 3 reasons. 1, she didn't fall down, not once. She didn't cough, not once. And she had the best hairdo, okay? So if we're just looking at those 3 points, she won on those things, because I was waiting for her to fall down. I was shocked, frankly, that Lester Holt didn't even ask her about just 2 weeks ago how she collapsed at the 9/11 memorial and had to be dragged across the gutter into a waiting van. No one even brought that up. So but yet we're going to dig into the past of Donald Trump, and we're going to go back 20 years. So that seems pretty lopsided to me. What Trump did well is he mentioned law and order. He hit that pretty hard, that we need to all be obeying the law, and this is probably a reference to what's going on with Black Lives Matter. I find it ironic that Hillary said everyone should respect the law. I wanted to laugh out loud and throw a hammer through my television because I wanted to scream, what about the email server? What about your 33,000 deleted emails, Hillary? But he didn't bring that home, but he mentioned law and order. The other great thing that Trump did is he mentioned that Hillary has been in government for 30 years, and she's just now getting around to fixing things. She's part of the problem. He linked her beautifully to she is the ultimate insider, and he stood apart as the outsider. I think he did that very, very well. And he also zinged her when he mentioned that Bill Clinton had approved NAFTA, and NAFTA's a disaster. And Hillary, has called the TTP, the Trans-Pacific Trade Deal, that one, she's called that the gold standard. So he did some good things by tying her specifically to things that, are not good for America. But, yeah, he did ramble, and he kind of got lost a little bit near the end and started taking the debate bait that she kept throwing out to him. But overall, what I saw what Michael Moore tweeted out, and I am not a fan of Michael Moore. He's a very rabid liberal filmmaker, and very distasteful. He's kind of a nasty personality. But he observed something and tweeted it out that Donald Trump won that debate on the optics, meaning what we saw visually, because lots of people were just seeing this and watching the entire scene, not just listening to the words like maybe you and I, especially I'm a lawyer and I listen to the words and the nuance, and I can say, well, Hillary did a better job of hitting the points and Trump maybe didn't counter her. Okay, well, that's a lawyer's brain. But a lot of people are just watching this, and they see an imperious Mrs. Clinton kind of looking down her nose with this smirk, and how she kind of laughs at him and giggles and shimmies and says, well, Donald, and she's talking down to him, and that's very insulting. And we see Trump having to defend himself against Lester Holt, who is always throwing it to Hillary and kind of hitting Trump hard, and not doing the same thing to Hillary. So the overall impression was, here's this guy fighting two debaters. He's fighting Hillary, and he's fighting Holt. And that it didn't seem quite fair, and he did a pretty good job staying on his passion. He just didn't follow it up with specifics, which he'll probably learn to do the next time around. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that. I don't think many people switched sides at all, and it's interesting to me that there are stories already out saying that some people were actually won over by Trump. So when we start seeing poll bouncing, and we'll see who gets the bump from this, I don't know if Hillary's going to get much of a bump at all because of the way she looked, the way she behaved. She was, like I said, she had the best hair, but everything else was tired old platitudes. She didn't give us anything new, except that she did call everyone racist. She said, I think implicit bias is a problem for everyone. So she called everyone in America racist. And this is from the same woman who called blacks and Mexicans super predators back in the day, and who needed to have their guns taken away. So she's calling everyone racist. And then she also said that everyone should respect the law. But of course she doesn't, because she's above the law. She's deleted emails, and she's told the FBI she doesn't recall. So the disconnect between the way she presented herself as an imperious queen looking down her nose at a regular businessman, I think that resonates with people because television is a visual media, not an auditory media like radio, and not something that you read like a novel. So I think that will have a huge impact, and I don't think the pundits really are considering that.
Susan, what happened to you? I mean, my goodness, others of your ilk coming out of Hollywood, and they all have this liberal bent like the Clooneys and all the others that are standing up and supporting Hillary. Where did the bolt of lightning come from that hit you and gave you common sense?
My mother and my father, they were married together, and they raised us right. And they never, ever let us go wrong. My mom was there on the set with me every day as a child, and they always kept us very grounded. And my dad would always talk to me about the politics of the day, and he would always say, Susan, the most important thing is that Supreme Court, because whoever the president is will nominate who's on the Supreme Court, and they sit there for 30, 40 years. So when you vote for president, the most important thing to think about is who will the president appoint to sit on the court? So my dad and my mom get the credit for that. They never let me go wrong. They kept me right.
What about Hollywood in its entirety today? I mean, sure, we see some that are extracting themselves from the liberal forum, like Tom Selleck and some of the others that I know, but the bulk of Hollywood is absolutely insanely behind the liberal movement and Hillary. A lot of money coming forth, too. I mean, what happened to these people? Don't they realize that the more of the liberal agenda, the less people really are going to have the money to support their causes going to the movies?
You'd think they'd realize. I mean, if the movie prices out here, if I want to take my kids to a movie, it's like $15, to go to a nice movie theater. We just don't. We wait. We rent it on Netflix, or we stream it, or we go to the $2 theater in Pasadena. I mean, really, we just don't go to the movies, and they're losing money. But they do know that, hey, they do know how to put out the right product, like the Avengers, and there are some really good conservatives who do know what's going on in Hollywood. And there's thousands of us. We're just kind of quiet and kind of being secret because we know we'll be fired if we come out of the conservative closet.
Why are you speaking out and speaking out eloquently about Hillary, and you don't trust her as far as being a role model for our younger generation, especially our younger girls, do you?
Oh, goodness gracious, no. She's appalling. She's the worst role model of for any woman. I mean, let's look at her track record and her quote unquote accomplishments. I mean, we can't even there isn't anything you can name. She failed at the DC bar when she took it, so she never managed to pass the DC bar. She passed the Arkansas bar to become a lawyer, but she failed the DC bar. She was fired from the Watergate Investigation Committee because she was lying and quote unethical, dishonest lawyer who conspired to violate the Constitution, the rules of the House, the rules of the committee, and the rules of confidentiality. And that was her boss, Jerry Zeisman, who said that. He's a lifelong Democrat, and he fired her off of the Watergate Committee. Then the one thing that she has managed to do, which is hardly a good thing for a role model, she managed to marry Bill Clinton and use those connections to build a gain status. She's hung in there with that philandering so-and-so for so many years. She's had her dutiful one child, and she's defended him. She was the quarterback for the bimbo eruptions back in the day when women were coming forward and saying, Bill Clinton accosted me or raped me or we had an affair. She was the one in the war room there who was trying to shut up these women. I find it ironic that in her campaign, she says, well, all allegations of rape must be believed. Okay, except for the ones against her husband, right? Because there's many women who have come out and spoken about their relationship with Clinton, and also like Juanita Broaddrick, who said she was raped. But Hillary has defended her man. She stood by her man through thick and thin. I would just, if my daughter were married to a man like that and she told me about it, I'd say, honey, come on home, we'll get you cleaned up, and we'll help you file for divorce papers against that guy. I do find it ironic, by the way, off topic. Isn't it interesting that Hillary's own handmaiden, her right-hand man there, Huma Abedin Weiner, Huma Abedin is married to Congressman Weiner, who's just been most recently caught sexting pictures of his junk to a 15-year-old. Now, finally, Huma's going to divorce Weiner. All right? This is old news, but I'm wondering, at least Huma's got a little bit more chutzpah than Hillary, because Hillary's been standing by a man who's done worse to women. So I look at that, and that's a terrible role model. The only thing she's managed to do is by staying close to power, like Bill Clinton, and then parlaying her relationship after she got soundly defeated by Obama in 2008 in the candidacy there, then she snuggled up to him so that she could be Secretary of State. And we know that the Clintons and the Obamas don't have much love for each other except for ideology. But here she is agreeing to be Secretary of State in 2008, and that's just because she needs to be close to power. She even had a failed book deal, a $14 million advance on a book deal, and they had to shut that down because the book sales were so abysmal. Nobody likes to, she's not even good at selling books. So I look at all of this, and then on top of it all,
her policy toward Planned Parenthood. She wants to take your money and my money and everybody else's money and make sure that abortion is free on demand using my money for anybody who just has an inconvenient pregnancy, who decides, oh, well, I just don't want this one. And so she's throwing money at my money at Planned Parenthood. She wants to make sure they've got it so that they can kill little girls in the womb before they even have a right to vote.
Absolutely.
I look at her, she's hardly a role model for any American woman. I think she's just the opposite of what we should be holding up for our women.
Let me ask you this question, and you alluded to some of the words I'm going to use in the last little dissertation, which I totally agree with you. But with the power of the Clinton machine, Bill and Hillary, and all those that are involved in that machine, it looks like, and these are my words, that power also has encompassed and enveloped like a cancer even the FBI and James Comey over the not pursuing any charges against Hillary, and I find this to be just totally disruptive. And how in the world can the greatest country in the world ever have the FBI side with the politician on those charges?
It's truly chilling and frightening, the amount of power that the Clintons seem to have through their connections, through the Clinton Foundation. Just the Peter Schweitzer's book, Clinton Cash, goes through the coincidences that link the Clinton Foundation with major shifts in policy that seem to be orchestrated by Hillary Clinton. And I find it very troubling that perhaps our FBI is compromised, and it makes us all just sick to our stomachs, because I think a lot of Americans are becoming afraid of. We know the IRS was targeting conservative groups. You know, Lois Lerner. Not Lois Lerner. That's the other one. But she was targeting Tea Party groups and conservative groups, not allowing us to have the tax status 501c3. It's very, very frustrating and very frightening these days. But what we can do, we have the election coming up in like less than 40 days. It's like we're in the Lenten period now, the political Lenten period, when we can sacrifice and dedicate ourselves to our nation and hold up the sacred right that we have to cast our vote, and to make sure that these pretenders, these people who would be our lords over us, shall not ascend to that power. We don't have to give the power to this woman just because she wants it and just because she happens to be a woman. I mean, we've played that game before. They shamed us and said, oh, you're a racist if you don't vote for Barack Obama because he's black. You have to vote because he's black. Well, isn't that racism to vote for someone because they're black? That's a form of racism. And isn't it a form of sexism to vote for someone because they are a woman? That's your only reason? That's it? Because she has a vagina? You're a vagina voter? That's sexism. It's a reverse form of sexism. But we, the American people, we've been given such a great gift from God. God gave us our life, our liberty, and our pursuit of happiness, and we have the Constitution from the founders who protect us and say, we the people have this power, and we deign to give it to whomever we wish. We can elect Hillary or not. It's within our power. And right now is the time to turn out and go to the polls and make sure your neighbors are well informed and make sure your children are properly registered to vote if they're 18 or over, and to watch the polls and make sure that things happen constitutionally. And if we don't, if we all sit home and grumble and complain about, Romney, Obama, Clinton, Trump, whatever, then you're not doing your sacred duty and honor to our country to protect that right that has been passed down generation from generation, from the blood, sweat, and tears of men and women who fought for our freedom. From the Revolutionary War all the way down, we've had people die to make sure that we had the right to go in and vote.
Amen.
You should be ashamed if you're not exercising your constitutional right to vote.
Amen.
You're slapping those military men and women in the face. And this is the time that matters, because we have this woman, Hillary Clinton, who's done nothing more than defend a philandering good old boy from Arkansas for the last 30 years. She is in the establishment. She's Hillary System should be her name, not Hillary Clinton. She is the system. She wants the power now. She's wanting it for so long. And you and I and everyone listening has a very simple power to say no by casting a vote on November 4th. And that's our duty to do it for our country and for our nation, to secure our blessings of liberty and for our posterity, for our children and their children. Otherwise, we may end up being a progressive nation and a socialist nation and a government no longer of the people and by the people and for the people. But we will now be big government dictating to us how we should live, how we should breathe, how we should eat, and how we should even be allowed to reproduce. I shudder to think, if she gets her hands on the reins of everything and fully implements the progressive dream that has been scheming for 100 years since this country was, got started.
You know what I'd like to see and what I'd like to buy a ticket for, and I would pay for that ticket many, many thousands of dollars if I had to, is to watch you get into a verbal matchup with either Hillary or any of the liberals that are outspoken like Barbara Streisand, etc. You, my dear, I'm putting my money on you that you could beat anybody. I really like your attitude.
Well, you are a very sweetheart, Zeb, but I'll leave one little thought with you. Whenever you're hearing the next debate when Hillary's up there looking down her nose and she starts with her platitudes, just remember, it's all BS. Barry Soetoro. That's what it is. Barry Soetoro.
That's
BS.
right.
That's my new term for it. That's all she's spouting, is she's going to be the next line of BS. Barry Soetoro.
Absolutely.
That's the name of our illustrious president back in the day before he became Barack Hussein Obama.
You know, Susan, please, I'm going to impose on you that I'm going to be calling more often to get you on the program. You are a light in the darkness. I love it, and I appreciate it, and thank you for taking the time to come on my show this morning.
Oh, thank you so much, Zeb. It's an honor, and I'm glad to do it anytime. I'm just thrilled to be able to have a chance to talk to you. Thank you so much.
All right. God blessings to you and your family, and I'll be in touch. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Tell them where my website is.
You go ahead and give it to everybody real fast.
Okay. Well, if they want to follow me, I'm at SusanSwift.net, SWIFT.net, SusanSwift.net. And at that website, you can link to where I write, which is politichicks.com. And you can find my social media, things like that. So SusanSwift.net.
Absolutely. Susan, God's blessings. Thank you again.
God bless you.
All right, take care. Wonderful lady, refreshing. I love that straight off the cuff attitude. That was very, very well done. Holy cow, Wheels is saying, Zeb, we got a weather forecast. We do it every day. I'm late. Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Holy cow, Don Scarrow and the crew, locally owned custom meat processor for over 20 years. They are the best. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
We're looking at another beautiful day, and as we head towards the weekend, still going to be sunny, but much cooler. Today, sunny skies, high of 80. Tonight, we're looking at a low of 52. Tomorrow, partly cloudy skies, high of 76 with an overnight low of 51. Mostly sunny and 75 for Friday. Temperatures dipping down for the weekend. Looks like mostly sunny skies. Highs are going to be in the low to mid-60s. Yesterday's high was 78. The overnight low was 42. That is your weather for Zeb at the Ranch.
Oh, Gina, thank you. And that weather, I love it outside right now. It's beautiful. Scarrows Meats brings you the weather this hour, 331 North Road, Jerome. Call them. Find out more about them. Stop in. They've got delicious meats over there. Holy cow, changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Scarrows Meats. Let's see, what else have I got to tell you, lunch bunch tomorrow at 11:30 at Denny's, America's Diner. Don't forget that. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. And our thanks again to Smith's Food, Hanson Mortuary, Walmart, and Stokes Groceries for helping us with the gift certificates. Don't forget that. Also, our major sponsor, big fall tire sale going on. Big fall tire sale going on right now at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations. My goodness, these are good people. You drive in and they just come out at a high low. May we help you? Absolutely. And don't forget, not only with the best in tires during this tire sale, but also the best in brake service, the best in front end alignments and shocks and struts, and batteries. You know, that's something we all overlook. Don't forget to have your battery checked. You might need a new one, and they've got the best for the cold weather ahead. Stop in today and see Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Tomorrow's Thursday. And we got a whole bunch of things going on and a lot of different guests, so don't miss a minute of the program. I want to say thanks to Wheels for another outstanding job being our engineer. He's a fixture of the program, and we'll be back again tomorrow morning at 8:06, and we'll go to 11 o'clock on K-Bar 1230 a.m., and then streaming live all over the internet, all over the world, zebbell.com. And once again, if you want to get a copy of our weekly blog, Cow Pies and Coffee Cups, be sure and go to the zebbell.com and scroll through till you find Cow Pies and Coffee Cups. Give us your address and we'll make sure you have a copy of it every week right here from Zeb at the Ranch. I'm going to leave, and, I was listening to country music yesterday, and quite frankly, there's a title of a song that kind of sums up exactly where we are in America today with politics and everything. God is great. Beer is good, and people are crazy. Until tomorrow, don't forget the way things were or the way things ought to be. We'll see you tomorrow morning at 8:06.